Hi all, I know it's been a while since my last video, and I wanted to thank everyone for all the support you've given my Bungo Stray Dogs video as you close in on 20,000 views. Now I really want to get at least one anime review video out before the quarantine was over, but who knows when this will actually end, so I may have the opportunity to create additional reviews now that I have some spare time. The anime of choice for this review is A.I.C.O. Incarnation. I'm going to refer to it as A.I.C.O. Incarnation as it's way less of a mouthful throughout the video. Now A.I.C.O. Incarnation is an original series produced by Studio Bones, and Studio Bones has a great track record of producing top quality anime such as Fullmetal Alchemist, Soul Eater, Noragami, Bungo Stray Dogs, Mob Psycho, and My Hero Academia. Now, I was a bit skeptical on watching this show originally, and I actually watched through all of it when it first came out and enjoyed it, but it wasn't until I rewatched it recently that I decided that I wanted to make a video about it, and it's kind of fitting since it involves quarantine. To give you a little background, this 12-episode original series was released in March of 2018, and while it's gotten pretty decent reviews across the board, since it was a Netflix original anime as well as an original studio production, I was a bit skeptical, and I wanted to avoid looking into a lot of reviews online because they can be pretty scarring, especially for the Netflix original animes, and so I wanted to gain my own appreciation for it without any kind of bias, and I gotta say, the show really grew on me and I was pleasantly surprised. Trying to avoid as many spoilers as possible, the show takes place in 2035 when a biological research project to create artificial and intelligent cellular organisms, hence the A.I.C.O. abbreviation in the show name, goes wrong, resulting in an incident called the Burst, which transforms the Kurobi Gorge region into a quarantined area infested by the growth of synthetic organisms called matter. The main character of the show is A.I.C.O. Tachibana, and the show centers around the fact that she was in an accident around the same time as the Burst, and she's essentially a human brain inside of an artificial body. She eventually is convinced by the lead male character, Yuya Kanzuki, that she may be the duplicate of a girl trapped within the matter whose family disappeared in the Burst. She then accompanies Kanzuki with a group of professional divers, which is the name given to people who go into the matter and collect scientific samples, to go to the primary point where the Burst originated to reverse its effects. Now, the show does a ton of things right, especially for a studio original. And one problem I usually see with studio originals is the plot is not great. However, the plot of A.I.C.O. Incarnation was really well laid out, the pacing was phenomenal, and the story was compelling and interactive. Even though there were multiple twists, I didn't feel like I was lost at any point of the show. One thing that I really appreciated is that there was no cliffhanger ending, and it felt like the show was completely wrapped up, with no loose ends needing to be tied up. Another great thing the show did is that while there was no main villain, the show manages to combine multiple different antagonists into one antagonizing force, which culminates in this complete ending that is very, very satisfying. Now, you may have noticed that I've only really talked about two characters, and that's because that's the one aspect where the show is lacking: character development. Granted, there's limited time to develop a ton of characters in 12 episodes. I feel like there was more opportunities to develop the cast of the professional diver team a bit more, rather than little tidbits that we find out through conversation between the characters. And I really thought there was a bit more opportunity to do so because the diver teams were contracted by Yuya Kanzuki to go in this together, and they already had history, and I felt like we could have gotten a bit more information on their history together, or their history before they became divers. In reality, we don't get a lot. And though the character development was a bit subpar, this doesn't culminate in a loss of interest for me, because I felt like there was only one point in the show where they used the tertiary characters to try and invoke intense emotion that kind of falls flat. Otherwise, I think they do a good job of not really trying to use those characters to try and invoke too much through the story, and they really do focus on those two main characters. Now, was this show one of my favorite shows of all time? No, but it's definitely a hidden gem, and I encourage Studio Bones to keep creating original stories if they're as complete as A.I.C.O. Incarnation. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and until next time, Monty out.